So I decided I was going to go ahead and show off my favorite family recipe. First off, you will need a tin foil or any sort of casserole dish, a pan, a pot, as many potatoes as you want. I have 1 pound of meat for my family, 1 can of pork and beans, 1 can of corn, and 1 can of tomato soup. Alright, so let's prep. I'm going to get my meat cooking on the stove top, and then I will drain it with a strainer that I did not mention. Just kind of get that cooking in here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get cutting my potatoes as thin as I can possibly get them. Some of them were a little bit bigger, but I definitely want them super thin if I don't want to have to cook them on the stove. Now, if you have your potatoes thin enough, you are more than welcome to cook them with the dish, but I decided to go ahead and cook them on the stove because they weren't all I wanted to make sure, so I just cooked them for a little while. As you can see, my meat is getting brown, and then I got my potatoes boiling for just a little while. They definitely were not fully done because I am going to cook them in the oven. The first layer, you will lay down your potatoes. Mine are very steamy. Then you want to add your hamburger meat, then your corn, and it just looks gross, doesn't it? And then your pork and beans. It just looks gross, but trust me, it's delicious. And here's the tomato soup. My counter is a mess, but it's so good. Now, normally you could just throw it in the oven at 350 for about an hour, but I'm going to refrigerate it in foil until my husband gets home from work. With all food groups in this, you don't need a side dish, but I decided to go ahead with bread, like a garlic bread, French bread, because this is actually going bad and I gotta use my bread knife. For the garlic butter, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my butter. Me and my husband like a lot of garlic, and I always tend to over make this, but oh well, I'll have some extra. So I'm gonna use some garlic salt with mine, and I'm gonna add it to my butter. So I went ahead and mixed that all together, and now I'm going to go ahead and take this away and put it in the microwave. And 30 seconds later, I've got it melted, and I'm going to whisk it to the perfect texture for me. Now I'm just going to butter all pieces of bread, and then I will put them in my loaf pan and butter them. And that is it. I'll heat those up as well as my shipwreck, and that's my recipe.